Last week in Johannesburg, the Springbok Women did something that no one thought they could do. They defeated the USA Eagles at Ellis Park 34-21. For the first time, they overcame one of women's rugby's most powerful competitors. On Independence Day in America, the USA Eagles lost for the first time to South Africa on their first outing on African soil. And today, at Loftus Versfeld in the capital, Pretoria, the Springbok Women look to do it again. We are a few minutes away from kickoff and the national anthem, so let's take you through the teams quickly. I'm going to run through the Americans. Quite a few changes from head coach Jack Hanratty, the Scotsman. Rogers, Trida and Cook are up front. Cook is in. She scored a try last week, and so after that performance, Hanratty's moved her up to start in that 3 position. She came off the bench last week. Then Allen, Taufuyu, Humphreys, Paris Redding and Tafuna in to complete the forwards. Tafuna scored a try as well last week in that second half once the USA Eagles started to find some attacking potency. Then somebody else who was quite instrumental in that second half, Olivia Ortiz. She starts at 9 this week after coming off the bench in that second half and really helping to turn around the tide for the USA Eagles. Outside of her, it's Bitter. Uataif is on the left wing, Vogel, Hun, the centres. Matai Toga, the right wing. Cowdrey moves from left wing to 15 this week. She also scored last week. And then the back, then your replacements. Hill, Hughes, Leatherman and Woods, the replacement front row. Ereke Bailey, Takuafu, Howard and Coulter round out your USA Eagles women taking on the Springbok Women today. So quite a few changes from head coach Jack Hanratty there. Let's quickly take you through then the Springbok Women. There's only one change in this lineup, so it's going to be very similar to last week. Charlie, Gunter and Lacha up front. Babawa Lacha captains again after captaining last week in what was officially her first match as captain post Cindy Boy era. She has officially taken over as the long-term captain for the Springbok Women after the retirement of South Africa's most capped rugby player of all time, Cindy Boy. Then the lock pairing, Obisi and Lochner. Obisi scored one last week. Solinsi, Jacobs, the flanks. Wellman, the number 8. She had an incredible match last week. In only her fourth test, she scored 2 tries. The Springbok Women came out firing last week, and they'll be looking to do the same again. So what part can Wellman play in that? Then the 9, Unam Tose, Libby, Janse van Rensburg at 10. Both Bulls home favourites here at Loftus. Aris, the left wing, and Guevu and Malinga, the indomitable centre pairing. Cilius is on the right wing. She handled the kicking duties for goal last week as well. And then the only change in the starting lineup, Eloise Webb is in for Bandre Dolph. Bandre Dolph was unavailable for selection due to player welfare rest reasons. And then your replacement front row, Groenewald and Ngolo unchanged. Ndliki joining them. Makwai, Makua, Nokleke, Minnar, Samboya making up the rest of the replacements. Interesting, Samboya last played for the Springbok Women against the Black Ferns in that incredible quarter-final, that historic quarter-final at the Rugby World Cup last year. So she will probably get her chance to run out for the Springbok Women again today. Those are your teams. Later on today here at Loftus, it will be South Africa men up against Scotland in the Nations Championship. But this is your free audio-only commentary coming to you from the Springboks YouTube channel and on the Springboks Match Centre. We'll do the same thing for the men's later on. I'm Alex White. It's a pleasure to be with you and an absolute honour to be bringing you the commentary today. If you know anything about me, you know, aside from being a broadcaster, I'm also a referee. Absolutely love the laws and decisions and all sorts of things like that. I love explaining them as well. So hopefully today this will be different to any commentary you've had before, and I'll help you understand those more complicated aspects of the game. But we're getting ready for the national anthems here at Loftus. It will, of course, be the Star Spangled Banner, followed by Nkosi Sikeleli, Africa. The players are taking their positions. The officials are on field and the singers are ready.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Sounds incredible here at Loftus, the Star-Spangled Banner, to be followed by Nkosi Sikelel' Afrika, the national anthem of South Africa. Surely must be one of the world's most beautiful anthems. 5 of South Africa's 12 national languages included in it, the prayer and indeed the anthem, Nkosi Sikelel' Afrika. Both teams are now taking to the field. There's some last-minute drills. The Springbok women just getting their shoulders warm. The tackle bags are out. The USA Eagles having a quick huddle and a chat. Today's referee is the same as last week. The South African Zoe Nordia. In fact, it's an all-South African officiating team. Angie Bezuidenhout and Gianna Folioen, the assistant referees, and the highly experienced Quinton Immelman is the TMO. He was the TMO of the bronze medal match at the Women's Rugby World Cup last year at Twickenham. Zoe Nordia had her Six Nations debut at Murrayfield just this year, and she will have the whistle once again. The USA Eagles are playing right to left from the point of view of the grandstand. And they're going to be kicking off as well. Last week, the Springbok women came out with an energy unlike anything we'd really ever seen of them. They scored a couple tries very rapidly. And the USA Eagles barely had a chance to touch the ball. We're mere minutes away, moments away from kickoff. The whistle sounds in Loftus and we are underway. The kick finds its way just about to the Springbok Women's 22. It's picked up by Libby Janse van Rensburg. She finds contact. And now the Springbok women look to use their backline through Namtose. A couple pick and goes. And they're holding their own just outside their 22. They win a penalty. The USA Eagles are offside at the ruck. It was a good contest, but an early mistake from the Eagles means the Springbok women will look to clear some of that pressure and kick for touch. Rather, they tap quickly off the boots of Namtose and they look to make use of their big centres immediately. And Ngwebu and Malenga carry up to the 10-metre line. And now the Springbok women on the attack. They're looking dangerous as it finds its way to Libby Janse van Rensburg. And then Saliers gets it, but she knocks it forward. It's picked up by Silonsi, though, who's playing quite wide for a 6. But that's characteristic of Swayze de Brain's strategy here with the Springbok women. It's a bit like total football. They play all over the field and everyone can play in everyone's positions. The USA Eagles turn the ball over at the ruck, though. They manage to pick it up, and now they have the attack. It's bobbled a bit, but it goes backwards, says referee Nordia. And now Ortiz will look to make use of her backline as the USA Eagles attack up the right-hand side of the field towards the far touchline, and the ball finds its way to Matai Toga. And she now is held up just outside the Springboks 22. It's ripped by the Springboks, but they rip it into touch, which means the USA Eagles will have a line out just outside the Springbok 22. There is an injury on this near side, though. Can't quite see the number. We'll get it for you in a moment. But it is a USA Eagles player who went down pretty much where they managed to turn over the ball. Referee Nordia is having a look across the field as the two medics deal with the injury, but it does look quite serious.
Okay, thank you. No foul play.
All right, it was an injury to Taufu, Hayley Taufu, the number 5. She's back up on her feet, and you heard that discussion between referee and TMO. There was no foul play in that instance. And so we continue. It is a line out to the USA women just outside the Springboks 22 on the far side of the field. And they set up a maul. It goes sideways at first. The Springbok women defend it well, but they've got advantage now, the USA Eagles. And they played into the Springboks 22, looking to move towards the posts. As the ball finds Paris Redding, the captain. She's brought to ground. They're about 10 meters out now, the USA women. The ball's been turned over, but there was no advantage from the collapse at the maul, so we'll go back for that. It was a maul collapse, so the Springbok women, I thought, had initially defended the maul quite well because it was going sideways. It wasn't going forward, and which obviously the USA women would have wanted it to be. But as it was going sideways, the Springbok women just caught collapsing it. But this kick for touch is quite poor. It doesn't find touch. In fact, it finds a Springbok, and now they're charging up the middle of the field through BC. She carries hard. And the USA Eagles will be ruining that error, but immediately they manage to turn it over. Holding on is the call. The Springbok women not able to get outside of their 22, and the pressure continues from the USA. So this penalty is just right of the right-hand upright, about 10 meters away from the try line. This time, Bitter's able to find touch and set up a line out, about 8 meters out from the try line. And I think the USA Eagles will probably set up a maul again. They throw long, but it gets knocked on at the back of the line out. So the ball is with the Springbok women, and they have penalty, or they have knock-on advantage. They look to pick and carry through their big forwards before the ball finds its way to Saliers, who kicks deep. She puts fullback Cowdrey under pressure, who bobbles the ball backwards and picks it up all the way back on her own 10-meter line as Malinga chases her and brings her to ground behind the 5-meter line, behind the 10-meter line, assisted by Yaki Saliers. It's a momentum shift that the Springbok women will be loving as the USA Eagles carry towards the far touchline, trying to find a gap and relieve some of this pressure that they're now under, but they still have the ball. Finds its way to Humphreys, who takes contact. And then Ortiz brings it to her back line. And the Springbok women play towards this left-hand touch line. And the ball finds its way to Matai Toga, but she's brought down just about on the halfway line, and it's a contested ruck, but the ball still comes out to Ortiz. And the big number 1, Rogers, carries. The USA Eagles are struggling to get over the halfway line, but this could be cynical play. No, it's holding on. I completely misread that. I apologize. The Springbok women got over that ruck quite quickly. They got hands on the ball, and it was her pulling motion of going for the steal that I thought she was messing with the hands of the 9, but actually the 9 was trying to get the ball out, and the Springboks win a steal. They win a penalty. It's on the halfway line on about the 15-meter mark from touch. Libby Janse van Rensburg finds touch just inside the Eagles 22. Now, what will the Springbok women do? There were plenty of 2-person lineouts last week. This is a 4-person lineout. Oh, it's 5 in from the Springboks. As Gunter finds the middle, but that ball is not straight, and there was a clear contest from the USA Eagles. Good call from referee Nordia. The Eagles being given the option, if ball isn't thrown straight into the line-out when both teams contest for the ball, then the non-offending team's given the option of a scrum or throwing into the line-out themselves. The Eagles have chosen the latter. Trader steps up to the touchline. She will throw in. They also opt for a 5-person line-out. And the ball goes to the front. The Eagles set up another maul. This one's got a lot of power, and it makes its way outside of the 22 very quickly. It's nearly halfway to the halfway line. It's gone to ground. Referee Nordia says it's the Eagles who bring it to ground, so they are able to play it out quickly, and it's a strong carry. Ortiz to Trida, who carries hard into contact. The ball comes out. Ortiz had lifted it, and Namtose chased her very quickly, so she had to sort of throw that ball backwards, and then it's been knocked on in the back line because they weren't expecting the sort of evasive action that Ortiz took. So it's the first scrum of the game to the Springbok women. It's 20 meters infield from this near side touchline, and it's about 5 meters outside the Eagles 22. Feeding into the scrum for South Africa, Onam Tose. The first scrum is a bit unstable, so it will be reset. It's a completely unchanged front row for the Springboks. Sanelisiwe Charlie, Mika Gunter, and Babalwa Lacha, the captain. She's the most capped tight head in South African history. 16 caps at tight head. And as captain, 41 caps overall. This time, the scrum is more stable as referee Nordia calls set. No one's really going anywhere. So off the back, it's Salonsi who picks up the ball, and the Springbok women look to set up a maul like they did last week straight away, but this time it's not successful. The ball gets lost forward. Matai Toga ends up with it. She kicks it downfield, but it goes directly into touch, and she was outside her 22. Only just, she just came out and kicked it, and it found its way directly into touch. And if you're outside your 22 and you kick the ball directly out, the line out is where you are, not where the ball goes into touch. So the Springbok women have a line out 6 meters outside of the Eagles 22, but there are a couple running repairs that have to be dealt with first. Referee Nordia just chatting to the players quickly. Right, South Africa thrown to the line out. This time it's straight. It's picked up at the back, and they set up a maul, which is brought to ground by themselves, so there's no foul play. They're just outside the 22 now as the ball finds its way to Abisi. She carries well to the 22-meter line. They're just outside. The ball gets ripped by the USA Eagles, and now they're on the attack outside their 22. The ball bobbles around a little bit. The whistle goes, and it wasn't a rip. It was actually a knock by South Africa. As Abisi went to ground, she lost the ball forward. Well, in the middle of the field on the 22-meter line, well, just outside the 22, which is important. I'll explain why in a moment. But it does mean the USA Eagles will have a scrum just outside their own 22. So because it's outside the 22, if the USA Eagles take it back, which means they bring the ball back into their 22. They can't kick it out directly because they've taken it back. The ball hasn't been put into their 22 by the Springboks. So if they kick it out directly, the lineup will be in line with where they are. The first scrum collapses. Nobody's at fault, which means we will have a reset. Referee Nordia talks to her teams and looks to ensure that there's stability at this next scrum. That's the most important thing. The 3 calls are crouch, bind, sets, and as referees, we want players to be stable and ready at each of those calls so that we're able to progress to the next call safely and make sure that there is a hard set and a good collision. This time, the Springbok women push hard, but it just manages to come out in the hands of Tafuna, the big number 8 for the Eagles. They are playing under penalty advantage for a high tackle now. She was brought to ground illegally so. It looks like they will need to take advantage of that advantage because they're not getting out of their half on their own. In fact, they kick it away. And so because it's a penalty advantage, we'll come back for the penalty on the 22-meter line right in the middle of the field. Both teams sort of just testing each other at the moment. We haven't seen the sort of out-the-gates chaos we saw last week where the Springbok women were all over the Eagles, and we spent most of the game in the Eagles' half. Although we have spent a lot of time down here now. Bitter looks to find touch, and she does successfully. Only just. Yaki Silias was there to try and clear it up, but it bounced pretty much on the line. It's just outside South Africa's half. A USA Eagles line out. And they have 5 players in. Trita finds Allen, who's knocked it forward, and it's with the Springboks. It goes into touch. No Springbok touched it, so I believe it will be a Springbok ball. There's a discussion between referee and assistant. I think TMO Quinton Immelman has got involved. It wasn't knocked forward by the Eagles. In fact, it was ripped. And then that rip by the Springboks found its way into touch. So it will be a USA Eagles line out again. This time they're up for a 5-player line out, I beg your pardon. Again, it goes to the back. It gets its way to Otters very quickly, and she finds her backline. They charge up the middle of the field. They're just outside the half now, and it gets put on the boot. Taitoga chasing, but Yaki Saliers gathers inside her own 22. Now she runs towards the middle of the field sideways and is brought down on the 22. Strong contest from the USA Eagles, and they win the penalty. It's a good steal. They tap quickly and go, and now Matai Toga's got the ball on the near side of the field. She's about 8 meters away from the goal line. The Eagles now playing under advantage for offside. The ruck's coming slowly, but it's a big carry from Trida again. They're brought down just about on the 5-meter line. And referee Nordia says we'll come back for the penalty. The Springboks went back 10 when that quick penalty was taken. So now the USA Eagles with a penalty 20 meters infield from the near side touchline and about 20 meters away from touch. Vogel is shaping for the touchline and she finds touch, which means we will have a line out to the Eagles on the 5-meter line on this near side touchline. And if they're more like they did just a few minutes ago, this could be ugly. But the line-out goes awry. It gets knocked backwards by the Eagles. Yaki Saliers manages to get a boot to it. She puts chase, and it's been knocked on by the Eagles. South Africa now with the ball. It was the pressure from Saliers that managed that. They look for the back line, but it bumbles and bobbles and gets knocked on by Malinga eventually. So we'll come back for the knock-on, the first knock-on, because the Springbok women just went backwards, so no advantage there. The score is 0-0. We've played 15 minutes here at Loftus. It's been a bit up and down so far. The Springboks will feed now into a scrum about 20 meters in from the near side touchline, just behind their own 10-meter line. And a couple of fans starting to trickle into the stadium to watch the women play. I think news has spread of what happened last week and how incredible that victory was. Not just the significance of it, but also how excitingly the Springbok women played. And then, of course, later on today, the Springbok men take on Scotland in the Nations Championship. This commentary will be available free wherever you are in the world for that as well. The Springboks feed into the scrum. It's a strong one, and they drive forward. Referee Nordia plays advantage. The Americans standing up under pressure. The ball finds its way to Libby Janssen van Rensburg, and then Yaki Saliers is brought down on the 10-meter line on the far side of the field. Unamtos is there quickly, but the ball gets knocked on the ground, so we'll come back for that penalty advantage. South Africans doing what South Africans do best. Scrum. So just to remind you where that scrum was, 20 meters in from the near side touchline, just behind the Springboks' own 10-meter line. Unamtose taps quickly, looks to make use of a back line. It's with Libby Janssen van Rensburg. And then Ngwebu brought to ground. They're under a lot of pressure from the Americans, though, at ruck time. And once again, the USA Eagles win a holding on penalty. Now, the Springboks only conceded one penalty in the entire first half last week. They've already conceded 3 or 4 holding on penalties in 17 minutes. So I think the cleaning is just not where it was last week for the Springboks. There's only been one change, though, and quite a few changes to the American lineups. I think a couple of those strong jacklers have been brought on for the USA Eagles that we didn't get to see last week in that first half. And that might be somewhat to blame for this set of penalties the Springboks have conceded, but it's a positive penalty. It usually means that the opposing team is doing something good, getting over the ball in a strong body position, holding on, showing that they are there, they have rights to the ball, getting a clean lift on it. It's a line out now for the USA Eagles just inside the Springboks half. 17.5 minutes gone, nobody has scored yet. It's just inside the Springboks 22 rather. The Eagles set up a maul, and it already finds its way about halfway into the 22. The ball comes out and now bobbles around on the ground. It's been knocked forward by the Eagles. They've had a couple opportunities. Their maul is looking really good. It got them from outside the 22 to about 8 meters into the 22. But when they're not able to capitalize on those opportunities, all they're doing is allowing the pressure to release, and If the Springbok women get a sniff like they did last week of some opportunity down on the Eagles side of the field, then all that hard work from the Eagles could be for nothing. Because now the Springboks have a scrum just inside their own 22. The last one was a penalty for the Eagles standing up under pressure. Be interesting to see what will happen here. It looks fairly solidly set this time, but the Springbok women managed to go forward. The ball is brought out to Libby Janse van Rensburg before anything can be conceded, though. And Ngwevu breaks her way up the middle of the pitch. She makes it all the way to the halfway line, but the Eagles are there quickly to contest at the ruck. The ball comes out with an Umtose, though. And Ngwevu again with a strong carry. The Springbok women now on the attack. Malinga bounces one. Gets up to the 10-meter line, but it's ripped in contact. And now the USA Eagles have found their way to their 10-meter line. And Taufu has the ball. She finds Han, who's brought down just on the 22-meter line. It's frenetic stuff end to end. Slows down a little bit as Ortiz looks for her options. Finds a crash ball that gets its way just into the 22. The Eagles now, but 18 meters away from South Africa's goal line. Moments after South Africa had some serious attacking opportunity. Cook carries well through the hands of Vogel to the back line and out wide to Matai Toga. Or rather, Huatafe. Apologies. Huatafe and Matai Toga are wearing the 11 and 14 jerseys today, but they're standing on the alternate sides of the field. The ball's brought back towards the middle of the field now, just 10 meters away from the goal line. Strong signs from the USA Eagles once again as the forwards look to pick and go and carry and just turn the phases over. It's carry after carry. This one coming from Trida. Then Allen brought to ground. They're within inside the 5 now. Penalty advantage comes for the Eagles. The Springboks caught offside. Rogers makes it to about a meter away from the try line as the ball is brought back to the back line and all the way to Matai Toga on the left wing. She's got clear space in front of her, but she's tackled into touch, so we'll come back for that penalty advantage that the Springbok woman conceded by being offside. It's some good defense in the corner. Matai Toga had some clear air in front of her, but Yaki Salias and Cohen Malinga crossed quite quickly to put an end to that. The USA Eagles have tapped quickly. They're going for the line. They're just about a meter away now. It's going to end up with the forwards again. It's pick and goes. They are pretty much camped on the Springbok line, and the ball's over. They've scored. It was a pick and go that happened in an absolute smorgasbord of chaos. There were bodies all over the place. And we'll get confirmation on who's actually scored because there were a couple of players involved in there. Cook's on the ground receiving some attention. I don't think she actually scored. I believe it was Hope Rogers, the number 1, who had the ultimate pick and go that ended up getting over. The Springbok defenders caught a little bit wide. There was a gap. And Obisi just couldn't keep Rogers out. Bella Vogel kicked 3 conversions last week. She's now lined up. The try was scored about 5 meters right of the right-hand upright. And so she'll be kicking from that position. She's taken it nearly back to the 22-meter line. As a solid strike, it's got fantastic distance, no issue at all. She adds the extras, and the USA Eagles lead 7-0 over the Springboks after 22 minutes. It's the first time they've led in 2 weeks. The Springbok women came out with a vengeance last week, so they never got the opportunity. I mentioned that Elizabeth Cook was receiving some attention, and that's still going on. She was part of that ruck where the ultimate pick and go happened, that Hope Rogers grabbed and put over the line and scored. But Cook has went down and has stayed down since then, so we aren't restarting. 2 medical officials are attending to her. She is sitting up, so it doesn't look as serious as I initially thought it could be. We hope, of course, that she's okay, but it does mean that we may be seeing the first replacement come on for the USA Eagles relatively early on in the match. Nearly 22 minutes have passed. There is no foul play. Yep, she's being brought off, so it's an early replacement for the USA Eagles. Elizabeth Cook comes towards the touchline as her counterparts on the bench, Reese Woods, wearing the number 18 jersey, runs on. And other than that, we are all ready to go. Libby Janse van Rensburg puts it high into the Loftus sky towards this near side touchline, and it's knocked backwards by Uetafe, the left wing. She's not able to gather it, and it finds its way into touch just outside the Eagles' 22, which means the Springbok women have an attacking opportunity to bounce back. I'm standing in my commentary position just to the left of the coaching box. Swayze de Bruin, head coach for the Springbok women, shouting animatedly into his radio, and it's a 2-player line-out, so maybe that's why it goes over the top, beyond the 15. And, all right, I've got to explain what happened here. So it went beyond the 15. It was knocked on by the South Africans charging from their back line to get it. But they started their charge before the ball was thrown, which means that they were offside. So it's a penalty 10 meters further back where the Springbok backline was, because they were offside. So it was a move we saw last week. Swayze de Bruin looks a little bit flabbergasted behind me, but as I watched the replay, it is quite clear that they started charging and so broke the 10-meter line before the ball was thrown. They are allowed to charge up as soon as the ball is thrown in anticipation of it going beyond the 15-meter line, which it did, but they were offside. So regardless of them knocking on the ball, they were offside. The penalty was kicked by the USA Eagles into touch. It was about 10 meters outside the Springbok women's 22 on this near side touchline. The line-out was taken relatively quickly, and now the Eagles are on the attack near the middle of the field. But at the moment, the Springbok defense is managing to hold them on their own, on the Springboks' 10-meter line. They've gone backwards a little bit, the Eagles, as the ball finds its way to Humphreys. She's got a strong carry. She gets over the gain line, and the ball's knocked on at the base of the ruck as Ortiz tries to gather. The Springbok women putting the Eagles under pressure, and this time there's a slightly more positive mood in the Springbok coaching box after that. So the scrum has been well in favour of the Springboks so far, but only the one penalty to speak of. It's just been clearly dominant otherwise. There's an injury in the back of the field. It's Ngwevu, the South African, the big number 12 inside centre. She was just getting some running repairs, though. It does appear that she's okay. And so we shall continue. It's a scrum for the Springboks just behind their own 10-meter line, about 30 meters infield. It's a free kick for South Africa. Early engagement from the USA Eagles. They tap quickly. Ortiz to Janse van Rensburg, and then Ngwevu. Her running repairs have given her a burst of energy as she gets over the gain line, and now the ball finds its way to Eloise Webb in for Andre Dolph this week. And they brought down on the far side of the field. They're sort of just testing this USA defense at the moment, playing backwards and forwards, but around their own 10-meter line, the Springboks. And now they bring it towards this near side touchline. It ends up with Solonzi. And she carries well into contact, a couple supporters with her. Tose gets it out quickly. Libby Janse van Rensburg It's ruck after ruck on their own 10-meter line for the Springboks, but they do seem to be going slightly backwards as this white wall of the USA Eagles defense holds. Now they look to take it down the far side of the field. Jacobs with a strong carry. And then Eloise Webb before Aris gathers, and she now steps one, steps two, and she's all the way into the Eagles' half, past the 22, and she'll score under the posts from nowhere. From the Springboks' own 10-meter line. They were going slightly backwards, spreading it amongst the forwards, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, towards the far touchline, the ball was spread through the hands of the new 15 this week, Eloise Webb. She's the only replacement to the starting lineup. She drew one of the US defenders and then sent the ball to a left wing, Alicia Aris, who stepped two players and then just put on this burst of speed that meant that the rest of the Eagles defenders couldn't quite catch up with her, and then she made a cut for the middle and scored under the posts. And since it was under the posts, it's absolutely no trouble at all. The conversion is slotted. Yaki Saliers, she kicked last week as well. She jogs back to her position on the right wing, and it's a 7-all, 27.5 minutes played. And if you thought this was going to be any different to last week, well, it is, but if you thought that the loss for the USA Eagles was a once-off fluke, we haven't seen any evidence to suggest that yet. It's all tied up, 7-all, as this kick finds its way between the 10 and the 22 of South Africa. It's contested, but ends up in the hands of Ngwevu, and the Springboks have the ball. It's a contested ruck. It's a bit of chaos, but then the ball ends up with the Americans as Ortiz finds Rogers, the try scorer. And now the Eagles attacking just outside the Springbok 22. It's chaos, but the Springbok women are caught offside, and so it's a penalty to the Eagles between the 10 and 22 in the Springboks half, about on the 15-meter line from this near side touchline. And it's a strong touch finder from Vogel. Puts the Americans into the Springboks 22, and they'll have a line out on this near side touchline. Looking to bounce back straight away, but two blasts of the whistle from referee Nordia means that time is off. There's some more running repairs happening, this time in the American camp. A reminder that Elizabeth Cook has already left the field with a somewhat serious injury she took when Hope Rogers scored that try amongst the pick and goes. And now it's Hope Rogers who's down. It appears to be an issue with the strapping on her head, so hopefully she'll be able to carry on. Reese Wood's already on the field for Elizabeth Cook. The other two front row replacements for the USA Eagles, Chloe Hilhus and Leatherman. Olivia Leatherman. There were some wide-ranging replacements to the USA Eagles squad after last week. I think Coach Jack Hanratty really liked what he saw in that second half performance, which, if we consider it half by half, the Eagles won 21-7. Ended up losing the match, they only brought 21, obviously, but they did win the second half. So more of that today from Jack Hanratty. The line-out's taken just inside the Springboks 22. The running repairs are done. The Eagles set up a maul. They're on the 5-meter line. 5 meters in from touch is what I mean. They're still about 10 meters out from the try line. Couple Springboks called out, but no advantage coming yet as this maul continues to move forward as the Eagles flood it with players, but it's brought down by themselves. And so they'll have to get this ball out quickly, but I think the part that's gone to ground doesn't have the ball. The ball's in a separate part of the maul, so it's split in two effectively. And this part that does have the ball is brought down just in front of the Springboks line near touch. And it's a bit of chaos that Ortiz has to sort through to get the ball before it's ripped by Yaki Salias. And now she's away. She's away. She's past the 10, past the 50, but she's got defense closing in on her. She's past the 22 and she'll make it. She will. 5, try line. She scores. Yaki Salias stole the ball at the ruck and ran 100 meters to score. Referee Nordia, though, has immediately blown on her whistle and she's shaping for TMO. So I'm not sure the steal was 100% legal. We will have a look at this, regardless of whether this is chalked off or not, and it's a penalty all the way back. It was a sensational run from Yaki Salias. She got the ball, she stepped to, and she was away. Defenders were chasing her, but she managed to keep going. Right, we're having a look at the TMO and seeing if what Yaki Salias did or how the ball ended up with her is legal. Do you know what? I think the Eagles might actually have scored on the other side of the field, and then she ripped it from there. The ball found its way to the try line. I think it was placed on the line and then stolen before the officials had a chance to see it. So we could go all the way back to the other side of the field for a try. I'm not sure I've seen that before. Referee Nordia is running all the way back to the other try line. I'm not sure I've ever seen that. A try awarded on one end of the field, disallowed, and we go all the way back to the other end of the field to award the try. So it's completely the right call. The USA player did, in the ruck, pick up the ball, place it legally, so it was a try. I just haven't seen that before. I can understand also the officials, the assistant referee and the referee slightly unsighted at the moment the ball was placed. That's why we have the TMO. And then the ball was picked up quite quickly by Yaki Salias, and she just went. So everybody followed her. Referee Nordia awarded the try, but very quickly blew her whistle just to say we need to check that. And Quinton Immelman came in and said, yeah, you know what? The USA Eagles actually scored a moment before that. It's a clear place. She was brought to ground and then scored. Still don't know who actually scored, though. We'll get confirmation on that in a moment as well, because it was all a bit chaotic in that pick and go from the Eagles. But wow, Springbok Women and the USA Eagles is a match that seems to be full of excitement and drama. The conversion from the touchline is a fantastic one from Bella Vogel. She was just inside this near side touchline and the ball seemed to be going to miss the left-hand upright and just snuck in. So a great conversion from her. It's 14-7 to the USA Eagles. 31.5 minutes in to this round 2 clash of a 2-match series between the sides. The Eagles win today. It will be split 1-1. If the Springbok Women win, they will win an inaugural 2-0 series over the USA Eagles. The first time the Eagles are playing on African soil. Obviously their first match last week. Libby Janse van Rensburg puts a torpedo up. The ball spins nicely in the air. Eagles gather just outside their 22. It's a contested ruck as always. The Springbok Women flood each and every ruck. And now carries by the front row before Ortiz, and then Better, and then Paris Redding, the captain. Ball finds its way to Uatafi, but she commits the mistake that Matai Toga did in the sort of first quarter of the game. Outside her 22, between the 22 and the halfway line, she kicks it directly into touch. So the Springbok Women have a line out. It's between the 22 and 10-meter line of the USA's half, and it's on the far side. This time they're going with a 4-player line out. Mika Gunter finds Lochner in the middle of the line out, and it comes out quickly to Ortiz. And then some strong carries. The Springbok Women playing under penalty advantage. Ortiz fends for the ball and then finds Jacobs, who carries well towards the 22-meter line on the far side of the field now. Ortiz to Lacha, the captain. She's brought to ground just outside the 22, and then it's with the back line again. Libby Janse van Rensburg. And then Eloise Webb. She makes it into the 22. Springbok Women still playing under advantage and looking potent as Lacha draws one, and then there's a beautiful little offload to Charlie, the big number one, who finds some meters, and now Ubisi has the ball. She's charging towards the line on the far side of the field, brought down just outside the 5, and it looks like the Springbok Women will score in the corner as it finds its way through the hands and ultimately ends up with Mika Gunter, the number 2. She started that whole play from the line out. And after some strong carries from the forwards, and BC got them into the 22, the hands were there and the spreading came. And a nice little offload from the floor to Mika Gunter, who scores. The offload came from Solensi, who took it into contact, found a way to the floor, and then offloaded. Now, the kick is a tough one. It's from just behind the 22, all the way on that far side touchline. 13 seconds left on the shot clock to make this 14-all at the 35th minute. It's a strong strike. It has the distance, but it doesn't have the direction. It just drifts right to the right hand upright. So 5 minutes out from half-time, the USA Eagles lead the Springbok Women 14-12. And that offload from Solensi was actually quite wonderful to watch. She drew the last defender, took the contact, offloaded beautifully to Mika Gunter, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that was sort of the interplay of a centre and a wing rather than a hooker and a loose head prop. But these Springbok Women are so versatile under the coaching of Swayce de Bruin. They sort of can play all over the field in these different machinations that he comes up with. The kickoff finds its way back to the USA Eagles on the Springboks 10-meter line. Malinga on the defense. Ortiz to big number 8, Tafuna, who takes contact and gets over the 10-meter line. The USA Eagles on the attack again. Bitter feeds to Taufu, who takes some hard contact and is brought down outside the 10-meter line, and the Springboks force the knock-on. 4.5 minutes before half-time. They'll have a scrum just outside the Eagles' half in the middle of the field. And this is a good attacking opportunity for the Springbok Women. It's always good to have momentum going into half-time. And the Springbok Women will want that momentum. It's the first time in the entire series over the past 2 weeks that they've been down. 14-12, 36 minutes played. The scrum is in the middle of the field, just outside the USA Eagles half. Unam Tose feeds. It's a strong scrum from the Springbok Women again, but it looks like it's going to be picked up by Wellman at the back. She scored 2 last week. Finds Janse van Rensburg, and then Ngwevu takes contact just outside the Eagles half. And then the back line through to the hands of Eloise Webb. She's got quick feet, brought down on the 22-meter line, back on the halfway line. The Springbok Women now looking to find their way into the half. Lochner with a good carry as well. They're managing to get over the line. But now it's a quick ball out the back from Mika Gunter, but it goes a bit awry. Ends up with Ngwevu, and the attacking support has to get there quickly to ensure it's not turned over. They've been pushed back behind their 10-meter line now. And Amtose puts it on the boot. Ulrich Cowdrey picks up for the Eagles. She dodges one tackler. Eventually Solensi is able to slow down slightly, but it's Lacho who has to get involved and bring her down on the halfway line. So it was a good, strong carry. Bitter now takes contact for the Eagles. Goes through the hands of the backline. Vogel towards that far side touchline. The USA Eagles now into the Springboks half. Past the 10-meter line as they look to attack again and make some interplay. Big tackle on Humphreys, who's driven back behind the 10-meter line. So it's opts to put it to the boot. And deep in the back, Eloise Webb has to field that ball. But her kick hasn't found touch, but there's nobody there. So it will eventually bounce into touch. And actually ends up being a pretty good clearance kick, because the initial kick from Olivia Ortiz was looking like it was going to go out behind the Springboks 5-meter line, but not in goal. So it would have been a line out under all sorts of pressure for the Springboks. Then Eloise Webb kicked a pretty good clearance kick, and I think she got a little bit lucky because there were no USA Eagles defenders around it when it landed sort of on the 10-meter line and then just bounced into touch on that far side. It sort of bounced backwards a little bit and then went into touch. So the line out, which is going to come as soon as Mika Gunter's had some running repairs. The try scorer just moments ago. The line out will be about 5 meters behind the 10-meter line, so deeper inside the Springboks half and on that far side of the field. So far, not much to split these teams as we draw closer to half-time. A minute and some change to play. 14-12, the Eagles lead at Loftus. This is your free audio-only commentary. We'll be back later on today as well for the Springbok men up against Scotland. Catherine Treader to feed into a 5-player lineup for the USA Eagles. Inside the Springboks half, it's taken easily by Humphreys, and the maul that's been so powerful in this match is set up by the Eagles. It goes to ground. Referee Nordia says that it is the Eagles who bring it to ground. So no penalty advantage yet as the ball finds its way out and into the back line. They charge up the middle of the field, the Eagles, and are brought down just in front of the Springboks 22-meter line in the middle of the pitch. Ortiz takes slightly longer. She lets her forwards pick and go now. And the 22-meter line is within reach for the Eagles. Springboks discipline holding at the moment. Fewer than 50 seconds left in this half as the ball finds its way to the hands of Rogers out on the far side of the field, and then to Otafe, who's taken into touch. So pretty solid defense from the Springbok women. And this will probably be the final act of the half, a line out to the Springboks just inside their own 22 on that far side. And they'll probably be happy to take this ball and put it into touch, ending the half. Referee Nordia pushing the Springbok women back onto their offside line. It is a quirk of lineouts that both teams have 10-meter offside lines. The ball finds its way to Lochner quite easily, and the Springbok women look to run. The clock is not up yet. And Ngwevu breaks through the middle of the field. She's charging towards the halfway line. She offloads to Aris, who's brought to ground just in front of the 10-meter line. And Ngwevu is woefully offside. She almost enters the ruck from behind the USA Eagles. She was absolutely desperate, throws the ball away, and referee Nordia is having none of that, marching the Springbok women back 10. That's ridiculous discipline to end the match. There's now, or to end the half, there's some words between captain Babawalacha and the number 7, Paris Redding, captain of the USA Eagles. And that's just really not something you want to see. Poor discipline from both sides to end the half. It will be a USA Eagles penalty, 10 meters in front of where it should have been. And it's a bit of a dampener on what was going to be an awesome ending to the half. So the upshot of it all, Ngwevu broke through on the 22-meter line, made it all the way to the Eagles' 10-meter line, but she then had to offload, and she did, to Aris, who was in support. But then as Aris had no support with her when she went to ground to try and stop the steal from happening, Ngwevu rucked, but completely from the wrong side, and then kicked the ball away. So the Eagles have a line out inside the Springboks 22 on this near side. The ball finds its way to Treader, who's brought down on the 5-meter line. And the USA Eagles might have the last word in this half. They opt to pick and go, and they're brought down just in front of the line. The clock is in the red. We're into the 42nd minute. And a score now will put all the pressure on the Springbok women going into the second half. But it's been turned over. The Springbok women have turned it over. It's a fantastic steal on the ground. First player in, says referee Nordia. And now the Springbok women are picking and going. Surely they need to get this back and out. Yes, eventually they do. Sanity prevails. The ball finds its way into touch, and the Springboks survive the last onslaught from the USA Eagles. It is half-time. The USA Eagles lead 14 points to 12. And it's a lot closer than what we saw last week. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back shortly to bring you the second half in about 10 minutes' time here from Loftus. But the story at the moment, the USA Eagles 14, the Springbok Women 12, tries coming from Mika Gunter for South Africa, Hope Rogers for the United States, conversions from Bella Vogel and Yaki Saliers. And it's all to play for in the second half. We'll see you in a bit. We're back underway here in Loftus. It's a good kickoff from the Springboks, finds its way to just outside the 22 of the USA Eagles. 14-12 to the Eagles at half-time. It was a back-and-forth game. No one really getting the ascendancy. Some good defence, some silly mistakes from both sides, and this attack from the Springbok women brought to a halt just inside the Eagles' 22 for holding on. Something that we've, I think, seen 4 or 5 times now in this match. The USA Eagles really good with the steal. The Eagles kick to touch on the far side of the field. They're just behind the 10-meter line. Set up a 5-player line out. It finds its way to Ortiz quite quickly, and she looks to make use of her backline as they attack up the middle of the field. And it's a strong carry, getting them just over the 10-meter line. The big number 7 and captain Georgie Paris-Redding. A couple more passes and they're over the 10-meter line. A good carry from Toga. Springbok women scrambling into their defensive positions as the Eagles now spread it towards the far side touch line. Ando Atafe, and she blitzes down the left-hand touch line, and she's got clear air in front of her. Libby Janssen van Rensburg and Jackie Celia's chase, but they're not going to be able to catch her as she scores just left of the left-hand upright. And the USA Eagles strike within 2 minutes.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. No water.
The Springbok women were under a lot of pressure there, and it was a great little attacking move, but ultimately they just got the ball out wide to Uatafe, who's now standing on the left wing. Talesi Uatafe, she wasn't earlier. She was standing on the right wing, and Toga, the right wing, was standing on the left wing. But now they've seemingly reversed. So just had to check myself there and make sure I was telling you the right person. But it was indeed Uatafe, and she just went from the 10-meter line. Nobody could catch her. Jackie Celias was chasing, and given maybe 10 more meters, I think Jackie would have caught her, but the try line appeared in front of her and she scored right underneath the posts. If you're only just joining us, this is your free audio-only commentary from the Springboks. It's on the Springboks YouTube channel and Match Centre. Available for you to enjoy around the world for free. Share with your friends and family. And wherever you're listening from, welcome. We'll be doing the same for the Springbok men against Scotland later. Libby Janssen van Rensburg kicks off the middle. 43 minutes gone. 21-12. The USA Eagles lead. This ball finds its way into the 22 of the Eagles. They kick it forward. It's picked up by the Springboks, and they're now 10 meters away from the line. But it's a penalty to the Eagles. Off feet is the call. And once again, a promising South African attack has been brought to a halt because of some poor discipline at the breakdown. And that's something they need to work on if they're going to have a hope in pulling back this lead and ultimately winning this match.
You guys can go on the line. Let's have clear access, a few more clear access.
That's the word of referee Zoe Nordier, just saying that if you form a maul, there must be clear access. The ball is thrown in a bit scrappily. It goes backwards out the line out and eventually finds its way to Han Humphreys. She takes contact 5 meters outside of her own 22 before the ball finds its way to Uatafe again, and she again goes down the left-hand upright. This time Jackie Celias is there, puts in the tackle. The ball ends up with South Africa in the hands of Eloise Webb. And there's a competitive ruck. And it's a good turnover by the USA Eagles. They managed to turn over the ball at the ruck, a proper old-school ruck turnover. And now the Eagles attacking from just inside the Springboks half towards this near-side touchline as they play left to right. Brought down just inside their own half, the Eagles. Bitter finds a way into the South African half. There's been a change at the 9 position. Ortiz has taken a seat as Tukuafi is on the field at 9, and that's a turnover for the Springboks for a change, holding on. Believe that's their first of the match to the USA Eagles, about 5. It's Ubisi, the number 4 lock, who got in over that ball and wins the steal. Libby Janssen van Rensburg will kick for touch from literally the middle of the field on the middle point, and she kicks towards the far side and puts it on the 10-meter line. So the Springbok women will now have a line out inside the Eagles half.
Please, can you give the numbers? 4.
You heard it from referee Nordia. The numbers are 4. 4 players called by the Springboks. The team throwing into the line-out decides how many players you can have at most in the line-out. You can have fewer, you just can't have more. They've called 4. Gunter finds Jacobs, and then it's out quickly to Toffe, and then finds its way to Ngwevu, who passes to somebody who isn't there but manages to regather herself. And then it's back with Jacobs as she runs sideways across the field, but it's a fantastic, fantastic steal from Humphreys for the USA, and she gets them onto the 10-meter line, but then the counter-ruck comes from the Springbok women, but it's a penalty. They've gone off their feet, and it's taken quickly by the replacement scrum half, Tukuafu, and goes down towards the far side touchline. It's manic scenes here at Loftus as both teams off to go quickly and have turnovers, but it's good rugby to watch. And now an inside ball for Bella Vogel. She manages to go a bit further than she perhaps should have. And then Trader with a carry gets them 10 meters away from touch, playing under advantage. Strong carry from Tofuna. She scored one last week. Keen for a second. She's brought down just in front of the 5-meter line, and now a carry from the captain, Paris Riding, gets them a meter away. It's with Humphreys. She's just short. It's a double blast to the whistle. It's going to be a yellow card for cynical play by South Africa.
Okay. Okay. No. Just give me space, please. Yeah. We've had too many penalties in this area. And we have another one over here. Advantage here. Advantage here. Next person. I'll have to send off. 5 seconds. 5 seconds.
Well, I think it's pretty straightforward. I jumped the gun a little bit just because of how quick the double blast of the whistle came.
Sorry.
It's a warning to the Springboks, so the next penalty inside the 22 will be a yellow card. The penalty, though, is on the 5-meter line, about 5 meters in from this near side touch line. It's been kicked to touch very quickly without much pomp and ceremony by Vogel. So they set up a line out on the 5-meter line. And it's Trader with the ball. Who will she look to find in the line-out? Rachel Erica's come on under the 19 jersey, and they set up a maul very quickly. It moves strongly towards the line. It slows down a little bit, but it's still going well. Eventually it comes down. Referee Nordia says that it's the Eagles bringing it down themselves as they look to spread it again. Brought down on the 5-meter line.
Advantage.
Takuafu plays quickly. There's a new advantage. This will be a yellow card. It's number 8, Logan Wellman, who's been sent off for 10 minutes in the sin bin.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. We've just had a yellow card. Just lay down, please. Can you just take a seat?
Time is off, and there's an injury in the middle of the field. USA Eagles, though, still haven't scored.
I need to just fix her.
South Africa haven't conceded points, but they have conceded a player for the next 10 minutes. It's 21-12, 49 minutes in the 49th minute of the match. Time is off.
Okay.
As some running repairs
So the upright tackle here.
are dealt with
Yes, upright tackle.
for
Contact.
Hope
We need
Rogers.
to do better in this area, okay? Too many warnings here. Too many penalties over there as well. Please. Okay. The warning still stands. Okay.
Okay, so just to update there from what Zoe Nordia has quickly said to Captain Babalwa Lacha, the yellow card was actually not for the warning for repeated infringements. The yellow card was issued because of an upright tackle that made head contact. And that was to Logan Wellman. I mean, she had a fantastic match last week, and only her 4th test. She scored 2 tries.
Yep. Perfect.
but has been sent off for 10 minutes, and we are waiting for these running repairs to Hope Rogers, who was the player tackled high, to be dealt with.
You good?
I believe there is no foul play review officer on for this international, so what it means is that the yellow card will stand as a yellow card. There's no off-field review. It is a yellow card. Quinton Immelman, the TMO, had a look, and he agreed with referee Nordia's on-field decision. So time is back on, and the Eagles will set up a line out again on the 5-meter line on this near side touchline. A reminder to the Eagles to not cause obstruction when they form the maul. And Catherine Treader feeds to the front of the line out. They immediately set up a maul, the USA Eagles. It finds its way over the 5-meter line, but then it's brought to a stop, and it's not going anywhere. The call of use it comes, and then it starts moving forward very, very slowly. It inches closer and closer to the line and seemingly has some more momentum now. It's going forward. It's pretty much over the line, and the ball crashes down. It's just short. Takuvona brings it out, and the ball finds its way to the back line, but they're brought down just short. There's nobody on the outside. Azua Tafe gets the ball and just runs round everybody. She's brought down just short. And there's going to be a decision here. She was brought down just short and seemed to leap back into the air to score that try. So I'm not sure. Right, the try's been awarded. No need to consult with the TMO. We'll have another look at it now on the replay, and then I'll let you know what I think about that. But there were absolutely no Springbok defenders out wide from the left-hand uprights. They were all concentrated close by here. They were all trying to defend the pick and goes. There may still be TMO intervention.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is a try. I'm not sure this is a try. This is going to be looked at. I'm pretty sure this is a double movement. She's tackled short. She doesn't get fully back up to her feet and propels herself forward from her knees, so I think this will be disallowed, but we wait to see what TMO Quinton Immelman has to say.
So we're just checking for the double movement. Yep.
It's on the screen now, Zoe.
So once a player's tackled, they have a few options. They can get back up. They can't get back up to their feet if they're tackled, only if they go to ground or fall. If they're tackled and they're on the ground, they have to place the ball.
She then gets up on her knees.
Release it.
No release, and then she goes.
And you can hear she doesn't release the ball there.
I'll have to overturn it to no try and penalty for no clearance.
Hold on, just hold on for us. Hold on for us.
I'm just discussing with the ALs. Okay, Quinton, I have a decision.
Just wait till it's showed now. Thank you. They'll come back to you now.
Thank you. Yes, yeah.
Back on you.
Okay. I'm going to overturn my on-field decision of try. It will be no try. Player has clearly been tackled and then makes the second movement.
Right, so it ends up being a penalty to South Africa because there were no advantages in that sequence beforehand. It's completely the correct decision. And one would think Uetafe has actually done quite poorly to not score there because there was no defense out wide. She just needed to run around, but the defenders pushed her closer and closer towards the touchline. And then she only straightened a bit later than she should have and ended up being tackled short. What you need to do if you're tackled is release the ball, place it, pass it. Those are the only options you have. If you want to get back to your feet and play the ball, you need to release it first, get back to your feet. She didn't. And she didn't get up to her feet anyway. She got up onto her knees and then she propelled herself forward. So she was technically always tackled and illegally then played the ball. So we call it a double movement. Double movement isn't actually listed in the law book, but it's just a technical way of describing something else, not legally playing the ball once you've been tackled. Anyway, it's the right decision. Try disallowed, penalty awarded to South Africa. Get out of jail free card, as the entire front row for South Africa is replaced. Charlie, Gunter and Lutcher come off. Groenewald, Ngolo and Ndliki come on. Ndliki and Mbuyekezo. Ndliki from Border wasn't part of the team last week. She earns her 13th cap. South Africa play the line out. It finds its way to a BC, but it's knocked on by the Eagles before being knocked on by South Africa. So it eventually found its way to a BC who went up to gather it, but it was actually well contested by the Eagles and they knocked it on. So it's on the far side of the field. pretty much between the halfway and 10-meter line of South Africa.
We'll keep that brave foot.
And about 50 meters in from touch on that far side touchline. We're into the 52nd minute. The USA Eagles
Please stay square.
lead
Stay
21-12.
square.
3 converted tries to South Africa's 2 tries and 1 conversion. The Eagles scored just after
Let's go,
half-time
please, both teams.
to extend the lead from 14-12 to 21-12. And Loftus is starting to fill up
Flank
in
here.
anticipation for
Flank.
the final minutes of this match. And then, of course, the Springbok men playing Scotland later.
Bind. Set.
Unamtose feeds into the South African scrum just inside their own half on the far side touchline. They immediately set up a rolling maul from the scrum. It's something they did last week. And it finds its way all the way to the USA Eagles 10-meter line. It's fantastic to watch. It's illegally collapsed as Ngwevu breaks out. We come back for the collapse
Number 6 white.
on the 10-meter line, and South Africa
Yep.
taking advantage of some Swiss de brain innovation. They did it last week where the flank just breaks away. Solinzi and Jacobs, and they join on the back of number 8, Logan Wellman, and then suddenly a maul is formed from a scrum, which is not something you see ordinarily, but it's something Swiss de brain absolutely loves doing. The rolling maul made its way to the 10-meter line from the other 10-meter line
Green
before it
play
was brought down. And South Africa have kicked for
Yes,
touch
time's off.
and have found it on the far side touchline, about 10 meters away from the try line. And they will have a line up now to bounce back
Just 1 second.
and try and get into this game again.
Let's go. Time is still off. Just relax. Time on.
Mika Gunter has the ball. Various options of where to go. It's a 4-player line out. 5-player line out. Beg your pardon. And it goes to the front to Obisi before breaking out the back towards Ngwevu, but she doesn't manage to gather it, and now it ends up in the hands of the USA Eagles. The ball's gone backwards fully in that sequence, so there are no knock-ons to speak of. The USA Eagles, though, brought to ground inside their own 22. South Africa scramble to defend and try and put some more pressure on the Eagles inside their own 22. The ball gets spread towards this near side touchline, and then it's booted downfield by Cowdrey, the fullback today. And she finds her opposite number, Eloise Webb. We're still inside the Eagles' half as Ngwevu carries on the 15-meter line towards the Eagles' 22. Groenewald has just come on and gets her first carry towards the 22-meter line. Unamtose finds the combination of Mdlikin and Ngolo. Still just outside the 22 of the USA Eagles, South Africa. A quick pick and go from Unamtose herself gets South Africa into the Eagles 22 for the first time this half since that try. It's brought to ground now, and we're about 10 meters away from the try line. And it's a pick and go affair from the forwards. Obisi and Lochner cleaning nicely. It's a penalty again to the Eagles for holding on. It's about the 6th or 7th we've seen today. And one must say that that is something the Eagles have done absolutely excellently today. Steal after steal after steal. Last week, the Springbok Women conceded 1 penalty in their first half. This week, in the first half, they conceded 4 or 5 just for holding on, which means they're not cleaning quick enough, and the Eagles are getting on over that ball in a strong body position and holding on. The Eagles have a line out just outside their own 22 on this near side touchline as a result of that penalty. They crash ball it up the middle of the field. And it's the turn of South Africa to steal the ball. And it's a ping-pong affair at the moment, but it does end up in the hands of the girls in green. A carry from Jakob. She's brought to ground and once again holding on. That's number 7 or 8. Springbok women are going to need to work on that if they're going to keep possession and turn opportunities into points. Because now, from the middle of the field, just outside their own 22, Vogel finds touch just beyond their own 10-meter line. And they will have a line out.
Okay, open up SA, please. Open up. Just wait. No, you guys also need to give it sooner, okay? Yeah, just wait.
Yeah, no worries.
Here you go.
It's an Eagles line out. It's a 5-play line out. It goes over the back and has gone completely awry. It's picked up by Groenewald as she crashes over the Eagles' 10-meter line. And Anamtose goes quickly. She finds Ubisi. Brought to ground, 5 meters in front of the 10. Just in play from this near side touchline. It's a strong carry from Jacobs now into contact. Tose is not hanging around as she finds Libby Janssen van Rensburg, who finds Louise Webb, who's got space on the outside, and she's got the support of Yaki Saliers, who's brought down in the corner of the field. It's been knocked on, and so the Eagles now have a chance to play under advantage, but it's a lot better attacking opportunity and potency from South Africa. Penalty to the Eagles. Not rolling away, and the discipline for South Africa is really letting them down now. They're getting these attacking opportunities, they're getting these moments, and when they lose the ball, they just get a little bit too frenetic and give away silly penalties at the ruck, not rolling away, going off feet, that sort of thing. And they're holding on penalties. You can't really blame the player on the ground all the time for that. They should get cleaned up. But anyway, this ball hasn't found touch from the Eagles, and so suddenly the Springboks are attacking again. So some unforced errors occurring from both sides as it finds its way to Jacobs on this near side touchline. Once again, it's turned over by the Eagles. It's a strong contest at the ruck, and Aris, the left wing, was the only South African left there to try and clean. She simply wasn't powerful enough to stop the onslaught of 3 Eagles players. They're just outside their own 22, playing towards this near side touchline, try and put it to the boot, but it's charged down and then knocked on by South Africa. So we're seeing a bit of frenetic play. We didn't see this as much last week, but it's put in an appearance this week. The Eagles playing under knock-on advantage as Paris Redding, the captain, carries to the 10-meter line. But we will come back for the knock-on, as she would have had that ball stolen had they not been playing under knock-on advantage. And the knock-on advantage is about 5 meters in from the near side touchline, 10 meters inside the Eagles' own half. There's some cheering from the crowd as Logan Wellman makes her way back onto the field after serving her 10 minutes in the sin bin for a high tackle on Hope Rogers. And she's coming back on. She scored twice last week and only her 4th cap.
Thank you.
Hasn't managed to add to her tally yet today, but
Who's the new captain?
we wait and see
Libby.
exactly what's going to happen.
Libby. It was a warning in the first half for too many penalties. We've had a couple there again, please. We need to sharpen up.
Is it offside?
Breakdown penalties, yes, please.
I told you the Springboks discipline hasn't been great around the breakdown, and that warning has continued. The new captain, Libby Janssen van Rensburg. I say new captain, she's stepped into the captain role because Babawa Lache went off when the whole front row was replaced earlier on in this half. So just getting them, there have been far too many penalties at the ruck.
21. I'll set and then I'll move out the way for you.
But in the meantime, it is a USA Eagles scrum. 5 meters in from this near side touchline and about 12 meters away from the halfway line.
Okay.
Immediately it goes down, so we will have a
We
reset.
need to ensure that she can also get a binding, please. Okay?
They're taking space early. Okay.
No, please. I'll speak to her. Okay.
Let's go. We know they're going to help. We know they're going to help. They don't want to screw up.
A lot of discussion from the various front rows about who's to blame for what at that reset, but referee Nordia's having none of it. She says, give me the good pictures, and that's what she's going to base the decision on.
Yes, Hopi. Yes, Hopi.
Set.
It's a nicely and stably set scrum. The Springbok women push, get a good shove on, but the ball comes out quite quickly into the hands of Bitter before finding its way to Atafe, who's got absolute wheels on her. She gets brought down just inside the Springbok half, and it's a penalty to South Africa.
You're off your feet and you've played the ball on the ground.
I couldn't put it any clearer than referee Nordia. The cleaning USA Eagles player has gone off her feet and played the ball. So it's a penalty to the Springboks just inside their own half, pretty much on that far side touchline. And Springboks are playing right to left from the position we're on here in the grandstand. And Libby Janse van Rensburg finds her way into the half of the Eagles with that kick. It's between the 22 and 10-meter line.
A couple subs from Springboks.
Right, onto the field comes 19, 20, 21, 22 and 23. It's a bit of a bomb squad replacement across the field. So coming onto the field, Makua, Nokeke, Mina and Samboya. As in Gwevu. Libby Janse van Rensburg stays on the field, but in Gwevu, Jacobs, Lochner come off. And as the first act of the replacements,
Option.
it's a skew lineup. So the Eagles have an option because that line-out was thrown not straight by the South Africans. They have the option of having the line-out taken again, but this time the Eagles get to throw in or a scrum. They've opted for the line-out.
Wait. Please, can you go into your spot? Thank you. Time on.
It finds its way to Tawafuyu. And then to the back line as the Eagles attack up the middle of the field, about 15 meters inside their own half. And they look to play towards the far touchline. It's put to the boot. And bobbles around inside the 22, but the South Africans manage to regather it and then look to attack up the middle of the field. Samboya, she's brought to ground just inside the Springboks own 10, Libby Janse van Rensburg. Finds its way to Malinga before being brought to ground. And then the Eagles turn it over. They have the ball now. Attacking inside South Africa's half. It's frenetic stuff. The score still 21-12 in the 62nd minute of this match in favor of the Eagles.
Step here, step here.
The Americans looking to play from their line as Tukufau looks for her options. Tukuafu, rather. She knocks it on at the base of the ruck. And so the South Africans will have a scrum 6 meters in from this near side touchline, just inside the Eagles' half.
I haven't spoken to you for a minute, but I'm really getting frustrated. Hands lying all over the rug. You can't get anything.
Okay. I'm not taking the same picture, but I'll look for you, okay?
I promise you I'm not shaking.
Yeah.
Paris Redding having a long word with Zoe Nordia there about hands at the rucks and a bit of chaos, but I'll be honest, the rucks so far have been really nicely flowing. We've had lots of turnovers, many of them in favor of the USA Eagles, so it's been a good, fast-flowing, free game, and we enjoy that. It's a Springbok scrum inside the Eagles' half. The score's 21-12. We're in the 62nd minute, and it's an absolutely dominant scrum. The Eagles not scrumming straight, so the Springboks are playing under advantage. As I thought Minard got away there, but she hadn't, so we come back.
Stepping out and scrumming across.
It's the USA loose head being pinged for scrumming across. Libby Janse van Rensburg isn't the one kicking for touch. It's Jackie Saliers, who's still on the field. She wasn't part of that big replacement contingent we had a moment ago. She looks to find touch, but the ball ends up in goal and then goes dead in goal over the dead ball line. Referee Nordia.
22 option, or scrum? What scrum? Or 22? Take a scrum? Okay.
There was a quick chat about whether they should take the 22 or the scrum. Because the ball was kicked dead, they have that option. The USA Eagles, they've opted for the scrum where the ball was kicked from, which is about 15 meters in front of the 22-meter line. So it stands to reason you take the scrum. Except, and this would be the only reason to do otherwise, the Springboks have been really dominant in the past couple. Minnar is in the replacement for South Africa.
Bind.
They'll play back towards this near side touchline. The back line again with some nice hands, but Vogel gets brought down on her 10-meter line. So some good defense from the Springboks managers to hold off what was a potent attack. It's now put to the boot. There's nobody deep for the Springboks, so it's a big chase for Jackie Saliers. And Aris, who picks it up, pops it to Saliers, who looks to find touch. But instead she finds Bitters, who sort of jogs slowly up on this near side touchline, hands off Jackie Saliers before she's brought to ground. Just beyond the Springboks 10, it's a wild ball that goes to no one for the USA before Humphreys picks it up, and they look to spread it down the left-hand touchline. The ball's put to the boots, and Duatafu is chasing wonderfully. She picks up the ball, and she's going to score under the posts. There was no one there for South Africa as it was put to the boot, and the USA Eagles extend their lead.
Sorry? Okay, 2 more check.
Libby Janse van Rensburg making her thoughts known to Zoe Nordia, but not much coming of that. It was put to the boot wonderfully. She may be asking if Uatafe was onside when she gathered that ball. But so far, haven't seen anything clear that would suggest there's any issue whatsoever with that try.
Yeah, I think this is wrong. I'll just wait for the time to give it. I'll let you know.
No.
10 seconds.
10 seconds.
So the shot clock is wrong. On the screen it shows 40 seconds, but she actually only had 10. Oh, and it bounces off the right-hand post and back infield.
Look at. Unfortunately, I don't do the TV. But as soon as it comes through, I'll let you know the time. Okay.
That's what you got to love about rugby. That wonderful little interaction between Vogel and referee Nordia.
Thank you.
Referee Nordia is saying, "Look, sorry, I don't control the screen in stadium, but as soon as the try is scored, you have 10 seconds to kick. Sorry, you don't have 10 seconds. That would be crazy. You have 60 seconds to score the conversion." And so when the stadium clock said 50, she actually only had 10. But a nice interaction between referee and player. The USA lead 26-12. We're in the 67th minute. The kickoff is kicked into touch. USA Eagles opting to clear their lines. And so South Africa have a line out inside the Eagles half on the far side touchline. About 15 meters inside the Eagles half. The ball finds its way to Obisi. And then quickly to Libby Janse van Rensburg in the back line. And there was a little bit of an offload to Wellman, who scored 2 last week, but she was brought to ground. Eloise Webb with the ball. It's almost intercepted, but finds its way to Malinga. She's got clear space in front of her, just one to beat. She steps inside, and she's going to score just left of the left-hand upright. Ayanda Malinga, the fast, tall outside centre, scores her 17th try for South Africa.
Thank you.
in her 19th appearance in the back. She stepped inside her, and while there were some Eagles defenders giving chase, Malinga is super quick. There's a reason she lights up the 7th circuit as well. Couple steps, she almost fell over, in fact, and just had to step inside. It was Cowdery, the 15, who she stepped inside and then scored just left of the left-hand uprights. But more importantly, the conversion has gone over as well from Yaki Saliers. So it's now 26-19 as we enter the 69th minute of this match. The USA Eagles still holding on to a 7-point lead. The kickoff is regathered by the Eagles just inside or just beyond the Springboks 10-meter line, and now they look to carry with the forwards. Hope Rogers is brought down in between the 10 and 22. She's scored once already in this match. Attacking potency coming now from the USA Eagles. Tukuafu looking to play quickly, but it's been knocked on. And so now South Africa have a scrum in between the 10 and 22 of their own half. Converted try and things are level again. But the Eagles have led for most of this match, except for when it was 7-all very briefly earlier on. The closest it was since then was 14-12 at half-time. The Eagles scored quickly to take it to 21-12. And then it took nearly 30 minutes into this half for the Springboks to score again. We've got just under 10.5 minutes to go in this match. It's a scrum to South Africa on the far side touchline on the 5 between the 10 and 22-meter line. It's a strong scrum for South Africa. It's collapsed and they win the penalty. Scrumming across is the call for the loose end of the Eagles. It's exactly the same as the last scrum penalty. The Eagles make their opposition heard, but referee Nordia says, go back to your 10 meters. It's a clear call. It's come from the assistant referee on that far side. Who I believe is Gianna Fullion. The boot of Libby Janse van Rensburg has put South Africa just inside the Eagles' half. They've got a line out on that far side touchline.
Might just open up a little bit, please. Thank you so much. Time on.
The ball finds its way to a BC, but it bobbles around and goes forward and ends up with the USA Eagles, so there will be a scrum.
What do you need to see differently for them?
I have an angle here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you
just stay square.
want her to be square?
Stay square. Yeah.
And if they come in and comes around without going forward?
I'm just looking at that there. There was
Okay,
angle.
just that angle?
Yes.
Well, that was the voice of the front row. It's Hope Rogers, the number 1, the loose head, who's asking Zoe Nordia what she needs to see differently. And the answer was that angle at the start of the scrum is not square enough. You need to be straight. You need to be pushing towards the try line, not angling across, which often happens when you are under pressure, as the American front row is right now. It's a scrum to the United States, just inside their own half on the far side touchline. It comes out quickly, though, and they're under all sorts of pressure. A tackle forces a knock-on, and South Africa spread the ball to Malinga. She's just scored, and here she goes again. She's got Aris outside her, who's brought to ground inside the Eagles 22, and now South Africa on the attack. Libby Janse van Rensburg looking to make use of some of the replacements in her back line, as Minnaar spreads to Groenewald, the versatile 16 replacements who can kind of play anywhere and isn't out of place in the back line. Ubisi with a strong carry towards the 22-meter line. She goes about 5 meters before Minnaar gets tackled trying to pick up the ball.
No, leave white.
And the Eagles almost had a steal there, but they've gone off their feet, so it's an illegal steal. Referee Nordia called her off the ball. Teammate called her off the ball, but she still went for it, and so it's a penalty right in front of the post, just outside the 22. Decision-making time now for South Africa. Minna with the ball. Seems she may kick for touch. No, she taps, and they go quickly, and some of the replacements get stuck in, like Nokheke with a bright pink scrum cap, but it's been knocked on. As the Springboks go to ground, less than 8 minutes to play. The Springboks trail by 7, and that, you will think, was an almost invaluable opportunity. It was the pass from Eloise Webb that just went behind the receiving player and ended up being knocked on. And so there's a scrum just outside the 22. Just right to the right-hand upright for the USA Eagles. It's their 22. They're playing left to right, the Springboks right to left from this grandstand position where I'm sitting, and just behind me, Coach Swaysh de Bruin and some of his support staff, because of course it isn't just Swaysh de Bruin. There is a larger team at work.
Okay. I need you to set up square and scrum straight.
Team managers Tandiso and Tomani.
No. Okay.
On-field physio, Lazani Ward. A couple of water carriers as well, Nasia Parker, Felicia Jacobs. All integral parts of the team, relaying information from the coach's box behind me with Swaysh de Bruin down to the field. He's got his glasses on, looking quite concerned, and who wouldn't be with less than 7 minutes to play now? The USA Eagles leading by 7. Last week you wouldn't have believed it was possible, but the Springbok Women beat the Eagles comfortably, 34-21 at Ellis Park, the first ever victory over the World Cup winning side. It's a big scrum from the Springboks, but luckily the Eagles get it out in time. Tafuluna wasn't letting it stay at her feet at all. And now they spread towards this near side touchline. It's some strong carrying from Keta. And South Africa have turned it over.
Movement from you is preventing her from going for the steal.
It's a more technical one. It is a steal in the end. That's the signal referee Nordia shows, but it's probably more technically accurate to say it's playing the ball on the ground. So while the South African player couldn't get her hands on the ball, the reason she couldn't make a legal steal was because the tackled player was moving around on the ground and moving the ball all over the place. Once you're done, once you placed it, you can't move it. And so South Africa have put the ball onto the touchline, this near side touchline. Groenewald is going to feed. It's about 10 meters out from the try line. 5 players in from South Africa and the USA Eagles. It finds its way to the South African side, but as it's been knocked backwards, Trader is able to pick it up for the Eagles, and so from inside their own 22, they now look to attack. Springboks calling for holding on, but nothing coming. And this time it does come at the second ruck. Holding on, and so South Africa will get a chance to go again. I think probably between the two sides, there's been close to 15 holding on penalties in this match, and that is quite something. There's not usually this many. So the Jackalers are doing a good job from both teams. That's what we call the players who go for the steal. For the Cleaners, no, not doing a good job. So if you are new to rugby, when a player is tackled, they have to place the ball. And once they've placed the ball and the tackler is out the way, the opposing team can send a player in to try and get their hands on the ball and try and pick it up. And if they pick it up, they can play. But if the player on the ground's holding on and trying to wait and buy some time for a cleaner to get there, then they'll be penalised. And that's what that holding on penalty is. South Africa opted for the scrum just outside the 22, 15 meters in from this near side touchline. The score is 26-19 to South Africa, to the USA Eagles, I beg your pardon. 4 minutes to play, and it's gone from bad to worse for South Africa. They've been penalised. The first scrum penalty they've conceded in the match. And in the coach's box behind me, Swace de Brain is not impressed. The Eagles waste no time kicking the ball to touch. It ends up on the halfway line, on this near side touch line. And that was perhaps South Africa's best chance in the past couple of minutes. They did score most recently, but they've just not managed to capitalize again when they've had those opportunities. 26-19 to the USA, and South Africa steal it at the line out. Minnaar finds Groenewald. And then Nokeke charges up the field, her pink scrum cap resplendent. Libby Janse van Rensburg looked to pass. And as she did, she was tackled and knocks it on the 10-meter line on the far side of the field, near the far side touch line. There's a substitution for the United States. In the meantime, Chloe Hill-Hughes comes on. And I'm just waiting to see who exactly is coming off.
The last scrum, you guys bailed out. Okay? Thank you. No.
It's Catherine Treader. Been throwing into the line out this whole match and has had a couple good carries as well. But it is now an Eagle scrum on the 10-meter line. 3 minutes to play. 26-19 to the United States. 15 meters in from that far side touch line on the 10 of the Eagles. And South Africa fire into the scrum, but the ball comes out quickly. And the Eagles play it away, but they're brought down on their own 10-meter line. And it's rapid defensive structures for the South Africans, and some solid hits. Means that Bitter's only just able to get over the 10-meter line. South Africans trying to hold it up and force a maul, but the Eagles manage to find their way to the halfway line, and they play towards the near side touch line as Coulter runs into her own player, but the tackle gets made regardless, so there's no obstruction from referee Nordia. Paris Redding brought to ground and isolated the United States, but South Africa are offside. And with 2 minutes to go, you feel the chances are just slipping away from South Africa. Realistically now, the only two possible outcomes are a win for the United States or a draw. If South Africa manages to get the ball and force a converted try. A couple USA fans here at Loftus Versfeld in the administrative capital of South Africa, Pretoria. A couple Scotsmen and women also feeding in for tonight's Nations Championship clash between South Africa and Scotland. We'll be bringing you this free audio commentary on the Springbok YouTube and Match Centre as well. But for now, it's an Eagles line out just beyond South Africa's 10-meter line on this near side touch line. Hill-Hughes, who's just come on, is going to throw in for the first time in this match. And it's a contested line out that ends up in the hands of Nokeke, and she gets all the way to the halfway line before a strong carry by Ndliki, and South Africa have a last gasp effort. Webb to Nokeke, she finds a way over the halfway line. The crowd on their feet, willing on the Springbok women as Eloise Webb looks to play with her backline. Malinga gets caught up, takes it to ground and makes it to the 10-meter line. South Africa attacking with potency. Nokeke carries again.
On the ball.
They're trying to breach that 10-meter line, haven't been able to yet as Ndliki carries. They're on the 10, South Africa. Minnaar, Janse van Rensburg, Webb. Webb to Ndliki, and on the far side now, South Africa near that far side touchline. They've got beyond the 10-meter line, halfway between the 10 and the 22. This is good carrying. The ball goes loose. It goes backwards, but it's picked up by the USA just as the South African hand gets to it and knocks it forward. So now the USA look to attack towards this near side touchline. Time is up. Advantage is over. It's been kicked deep into the South African 22. Yaki Saliers will get there first. And Makui is also there, but Saliers has the ball. She now looks to run outside her own 22, but she kicks it. She kicks it away. And no one is quite sure why she's done that. It's the final act of the game. Time was up. She kicked it into touch. And the United States will win by 7.
The USA take the victory against the
It's all a bit chaotic at the end. 26-19. The USA women have won for the first time on African soil after playing their first match last week at Ellis Park, losing 34-21. And it was a back and forth game. It really tested both sides. It was a proper rugby contest, an arm wrestle if ever there was one. The USA led early, 7-0. But then South Africa came back. It was 7-all, and then 14-7, then 14-12 at half-time to the Eagles. They scored quickly. They made it 21-14. Then they made it 26-14, but then South Africa scored and made it 26-19. So, all round, an exciting game for both teams, and they take one apiece, so the series is drawn 1-all. And I think that's probably a reflection of the skill we've seen over the past 2 weeks and the excitement we've seen from both sides. It's been such an incredible atmosphere for both sides. Women's rugby in South Africa is going from strength to strength. I must remind you, the United States have been in 3 Women's Rugby World Cup finals, and they've won one back in 1991. South Africa's only ever made a quarter-final, which is what they did last year, where they played New Zealand and held them until half-time. New Zealand didn't even score by half-time. Swayze de Bruin hugging his coaching staff, and their high fives and hugs all round. Good effort from them over the past 2 weeks, and really it is a success story for South Africa and South African women's rugby that these 2 weeks have been so competitive against a side that's been ranked above them for so long, that's been to 3 Rugby World Cup finals, that's managed to win one, and that has had the resources and the infrastructure for so much longer than the South African women. And the investment of SA Rugby in those structures is ongoing and continuing, and is wonderful to see. We've seen the under-18 Girls Week at the same time as the Boys Week down in Pretoria at Grey High School. And in a couple years, we're going to have a few more Springboks to talk about in the Springbok Women. They've made it to the quarterfinals. They'll go beyond that very, very soon. But the USA Eagles bounce back today, and so Jack Hanratty, their coach, will be more than pleased, and so will Captain Paris Redding, Georgie Paris Redding. Hope Rogers was immense today, scored a try. And with the changes to the team, Cowdrey moving to 15, managing things a bit better from that full-back position. It was a good bit of work for the changed size. Eloise Webb came in at 15 for South Africa. I thought she was really good. Orchestrated the back line really well as well. And now the crowd here at Loftus are on their feet, showing love to the Springbok women as they depart the field. This has been your audio commentary, free wherever you are around the world, from the Springboks on the Springbok YouTube channel and the Match Centre on the Springboks website. For the Springbok women against the USA, I'll be back a little bit later on, around 5:30, for the build-up and then the kick-off of the Nations Championship match, round 2, for the Springboks and Scotland. And hopefully, if you've enjoyed this commentary, learning a little bit more about the laws and having decisions explained to you, you will benefit later on as well. So if you join us, then I'll see you there. Otherwise, if you've listened early today in the United States or wherever you are around the world, thank you so much for joining us here in South Africa, in the administrative capital, Pretoria, in the city of Tshwane, at Loftus Versfeld. The final score, the USA Eagles 26, South Africa 19.